Sophie was completely at ease during the hike. She was jumping and leaping, leading everyone else. She wore a short denim skirt with patches of cotton fabric to create a funky look and a white sleeveless shirt with a collar. Jacob couldn't help but notice her slender body moving swiftly up the hill. He also noticed that she felt happy around greenery and nature. At least they had something in common, that and their undecided future in the Dragon Clan. Sophie had worn branded sneakers, the kind that make hiking a breeze. Jacob had never thought of buying such expensive shoes. In fact, he never had the kind of money to even look at such shoes. But since Drakon was one of the richest people in the country, it wasn't surprising to see Sophie buy such expensive things. Jacob soon found out that the choice of clothes for Sophie was her mother's doing. Her designer instincts did an amazing job on Sophie's wardrobe. No wonder Sophie always wore such well-paired outfits, complementing her physique so well. Even the popular girls at his college didn't have such a unique fashion sense. Jacob, on the other hand, was wearing a collared shirt with stripes and baggy pants. His shoes were dirty from yesterday's practice, and he obviously didn't have any time to clean them. The only thing about him that could attract any attention was the tiny pink backpack on his back. That, too, didn't belong to him. It was Sophie's. It felt strange for him to be wearing it. Sophie rushed ahead, and Drakon and Helen were walking side by side with Jacob. While Drakon's outfit was casual, Helen went for a young, athletic look by wearing trendy joggers. It was impossible to tell that she was the mother of a girl in high school. They continued climbing up the mountain and were getting close to a peak. At every point, the trio found Sophie outracing them. They always found her waiting on a boulder or sitting on the grass. She impatiently rolled her eyes at them the moment they caught up, like an annoying checkpoint. Her inability to hold herself back reminded Jacob of the times when he went sightseeing with his parents in his childhood. Sophie, along with her family and Jacob, finally reached one of the sights on the mountain. The view was breathtaking and surreal, and the entire patch was surrounded by greenery. The breeze was cooler and the atmosphere was quiet except for the melodious hum of the critters. A stream lazily meandered down the trail, matching the tune of the critters with its gurgling noise. Sophie spread her arms as she looked at the beautiful view and took a deep breath of fresh air. Her tiny nostrils flared as she did that, and Jacob couldn't help but look at her. She was adorable, innocent, and so unique. It was incredibly relaxing and satisfying for all four of them to be one with nature again after having spent a long time in the city. Hand in hand, Helen and Drakon were taking their time to admire and appreciate the scenery around them. Since Jacob did not want to make Sophie uncomfortable, he strolled at a distance. Sophie continued to be an excited rabbit, sprinting and exploring ahead. "Sophie, slow down," Helen cautioned. "Mom, there is a cave here," Sophie screamed passionately from ahead. Helen let out a chuckle. She turned around and waved at Jacob before walking ahead to join Sophie. "This cave was created due to the impact of the underground water. Streams in the mountain have formed secret paths inside the mountain. When they run into fragile and worn-out rocks, they would burst through. What we have seen on our way here are tributaries. The real water streams are all contained on the inside of the mountain." "How come there is no water in it then?" Sophie asked curiously. "That is because the size and impact of the water streams also depend on the season. When the water stream is affluent, the water will seep through. Of course, it could also be that the stream had been diverted. In other words, this was formerly an exit that was blocked from the inside because of a small-scale landslide," Helen explained patiently. While nodding her head, Sophie's eyes lit up as if she had just discovered a new continent. She pointed ahead. "Look, there is some writing over there." "Paradise on Earth. This was the doing of one of the ancestors of the Dragon Clan, who meditated in these caves. There is a dragon temple here called Celestial Cloud Temple, though these sites are not accessible to the mortals," Helen patiently elaborated as she walked. Blinking her big eyes, Sophie was intrigued by her heritage and followed her mother closely, observing and listening. Jacob was in awe. He was surprised that Helen was so knowledgeable. Not only was she successful in architectural designs, but she was also very well versed with astronomy, geology, and culture. Everyone began following Helen. She knew the path well, and moreover, she was able to stop and explain interesting facts and anecdotes from time to time. This not only gave a lot of information to Sophie, but Jacob learned a lot about his new clan too. Her voice was gentle and pleasant, and Jacob was enchanted and had learned a lot just by listening to her. After walking for about 2 hours, they reached the halfway point and decided to go eat at a makeshift restaurant on the mountain. Their tables were outdoors underneath a thick canopy of trees. While they were devouring the meatloaf and fries, they were all taking in the magnificent views of the mountain. Jacob felt that he had been trapped in school for far too long. Today's opportunity to travel with Sophie's family refreshed his eyes and his mind, thanks to the greenery around them and the crisp, untouched streams. He became cheerful and chatty as well. "There is a dragon temple on top of this mountain called the Oneness Temple," said Drakon. "It was said that one of our ancestors, Elder Elijah, had once cultivated here. The biggest palace in this dragon temple is called the Founder's Palace. All of its shingles were covered with rolled gold. They have a pine tree that is 2,000 years old as well. Moreover, there is a monument that was inscribed by Elder Elijah himself." As he was eating, Drakon suddenly became enthusiastic and smiled at Sophie. "That is fun!" Sophie looked to her father in anticipation. "Let's go check it out after we finish eating." "It takes 3 hours to get up there. Since there are no cable cars here, your mom and I will pass on this one. We plan to walk up a little more, but then we will take our time to go back down and get some rest at the hotel," Drakon replied. "Aw." Sophie was obviously disappointed. "I can totally climb up alone," Sophie said enthusiastically after thinking for a few seconds. "No way. We would be worried if you went up there yourself." Helen denied Sophie's proposition. Knowing that she could not defy her parents, Sophie sulkily lowered her head in silence. After their meal, they continued the climb. After walking for about half an hour and having checked out Elder Lord Cave that had immense history, Drakon and Helen were ready to leave. As much as Sophie wanted to continue upwards and to explore the dragon temple on top of the mountain, she could only follow her parents' orders now that they had decided to call it a day. Seeing that Sophie was upset and was pouting her lips, Helen said, "How about we make an exception and let you continue your tour here on the mountain?" Sophie's eyes lit up instantaneously, and a bright smile spread across her face. "But there is one condition. Jacob has to accompany you and stay with you at all times. Otherwise, we will be worried," Helen added. Biting her lip, Sophie struggled for a few seconds, but finally concurred. "Fine. I want to see what's up there." A shade of joy appeared on Helen's face as she turned to Jacob. "Jacob, please stay with Sophie. Come back down as soon as you reach the top of the mountain. Give us a call if you need anything. At your pace, 4 hours should be enough for you to go up and get back down here. It takes approximately 2 more hours to get down to the foot of the mountain, so that would be 6 hours in total. We'll expect you to be back in the hotel by 7 o'clock. Actually, Jacob did not want to go back to the hotel so early either. It was a rare chance for him to be able to be immersed in nature. He nodded at Helen and assured her by saying, "Yes, Helen, I will try my best to look after Sophie." Drakon gave Jacob a light, encouraging nod before turning around and leaving with Helen. Jacob knew very well that Sophie's parents were trying to create opportunities for him and Sophie to get to know each other through spending time alone. However, he did not want to overthink it, as all he wanted now was to visit the legendary Dragon Temple. Likewise, Sophie was thinking the same thing. Now that her parents had walked far away, she started shouting at Jacob. "Come on! Hurry up! Let's go. It's a long way up. After briefly rolling his eyes at her and smiling at her enthusiasm, Jacob looked up at the endless trail and took a step forward to make the climb.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.